Welcome to Cultural Competency Training from Wyoming State Hospital. Learning objectives that we will go through today include describing cultural concepts, identifying the traditional ethnic groups in Wyoming, explaining cultural influences, and discuss cultural considerations in becoming culturally sensitive. Cultural competence involves understanding and appropriately responding to the unique combination of cultural variables. They include ability, age, belief, ethnicity, experience, gender, gender identity, linguistic background, national origin, race, religion, sexual orientation, and socioeconomic status that the professional and individual brings to interactions. Developing cultural competence is a dynamic and complex process requiring ongoing self-assessment and continuous expansion of one's cultural knowledge. It evolves over time, beginning with an understanding of one's own culture, continuing through interactions with individuals from various cultures, and extending through one's own expansion of knowledge. Key aspects include developing cultural competence is an ongoing process. It involves self-awareness and cultural humility and may require an attitude shift in which you recognize that you do not know about the relevant languages and cultures of the individual, and you seek to gain cultural specific knowledge and experience. Characteristics of the cultural competent person include the ability to simultaneously appreciate cultural patterns and individual variations, engage in cultural self-scrutiny to assess cultural biases and improve self-awareness, utilizing evidence-based practice to include characteristics, expertise, and empirical evidence, and understanding the communication context of a person by considering communication disorders within a social context. In most instances, developing cultural competence begins with self-assessment, including a review of your personal history, values, beliefs, and biases, and assessment of how these factors might influence perceptions of communication abilities and patterns, and an understanding of how personal perceptions might influence interactions. Pause the video right now and review this checklist. Go through this checklist on your own and see if you are culturally competent. All right, let's talk about some characteristics of culture. Culture is an integrated system of learned values, beliefs, and practices that guide behavior. It includes the arts, beliefs, customs, folk practices, habits, institutions, and all other products of human work and thought created by a person or a group at a particular time. It represents the ideas, values, beliefs, and attitudes that groups of people possess. Values and beliefs are foundations for setting standards and rules of behavior that members of a society consider acceptable and proper. Culture includes learned ways of acting and thinking that are transmitted by group members and that provide solutions for problems. Dietary habits, customs, modes of communication, religion, art, and history are all aspects of culture. These values and beliefs are the foundation for setting standards and rules of behavior that members of a society consider acceptable and proper. What may a person's cultural affect besides his or her decisions and actions? What might it affect besides those? It might affect your how close they stand to you, whether they provide eye contact or not. I mean, here in the U.S., we value eye contact. It provides us with believing that someone is honest in what they're saying. Whereas in another culture, eye contact can be an aggressive act. So it's important for us to investigate and really understand what someone's culture is and what their beliefs are so that we can interact with them appropriately. Let's go through some definitions. Ethnocentrism is judging another culture solely by the values and standards of one's own culture. Individuals judge other people or groups relative to their own ethnic group or culture, especially with concern to language, behavior, customs, and religion. These ethnic distinctions and subdivisions serve to define each ethnicity's unique cultural identity. So this is where you are judging them based on your culture. You're trying to say that what you're doing is incorrect because this is the way that it's supposed to be done. And that is definitely not the way that you should interact with someone from a different culture. Culture is, in the words of E.B. Taylor, that complex whole which includes knowledge, beliefs, art, morals, law, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. Cultural competence is defined as a set of congruent behaviors, attitudes, and policies that come together in a system, agency, or among professionals and enables that system, agency, or those professionals to work effectively in cross-cultural situations. Cultural awareness is the foundation of communication, and it involves the ability of standing back from ourselves and becoming aware of our culture, values, beliefs, and perceptions. Ethnicity is a sense of identification with the collective cultural group. It is important for you to know these definitions. Let's talk about cultural diversity. This is the existence of many cultures in a society. The United States has rich cultural diversity. It results in a large number of immigrants over the past 200 years. America sometimes is called the melting pot because many immigrants have been assimilated into this new society. It is important to value and respect differences of various cultural groups within our society. Each group provides unique contributions to art, science, politics, and healthcare. Here in Wyoming, our population demographics include 90% white, so the majority of the people that we see every day are of white origin. Hispanics, 8%, some other races, 3%, American Indian, 2%, two or more races, 2%, Black or African American is below 1%, Asian is below 1%, three or more races below 1%, and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander below 1%, and a Native Hawaiian below 1%. There are many subcultures also, which are individuals within certain cultures who share different beliefs, values, attitudes from those of the dominant culture. So they have subcultures where they don't have all of one culture, but they've assimilated some of the other cultures' habits and beliefs. Examples would be members of various ethnic groups, homosexuals, and the military and religious groups. Transcultural nursing is the integration of culture into all aspects of nursing care. There are similarities and differences. Learned similarities may be passed down from parent to child to grandchild. They affect personality development of each generation. People learn what is expected of them and how they should behave, dress, and interact. It can be shared. Beliefs, values, and behaviors are shared among the individuals within this particular group. It is based on symbols, a means of communication, spiritual beliefs, economic interactions, and national origins, among other things. Differences may occur among various groups in relation to family, religion, communication, educational background, social class, and economic level. Nurses should be aware of the differences in these areas and recognize how they affect wellness, illness, and healthcare practices of their patients. Communication, there are certain cultural and ethnic groups that speak different languages. The speed with which people speak and their tone and inflections vary according to cultural background. Nonverbal communication includes, as I had stated before, personal space, eye contact, gestures, displays of emotions, and the amount and meaning of touch that is acceptable. And these are all culturally determined. Here at Wyoming State Hospital, we will be having international nurses coming to join our team. We need to show them respect and share our knowledge as they share theirs. If you don't know about their culture, ask. These are nurses from other countries that go abroad and travel the world, taking care of patients in other countries or aiding underserved nations where experienced professional nurses are in high demand. Like all nurses, these men and women are passionate in their desire to help others and are champions of the nursing profession. We will have many cultures that maybe you have not seen before, especially working here in Wyoming and here at the Wyoming State Hospital. So it is important for you to research, learn as much as you can about their culture, ask them questions, and if they do something that's different than what you would do, ask them why. Maybe it is a better evidence-based practice. Maybe not. Maybe we can teach them as they teach us. Okay, here are some traditional beliefs of major ethnic groups in the United States. Whites generally will believe in the work ethic, which values personal achievement, individualism, and competition. It has values related to health, individual decision-making, personal space, and privacy. Illness is viewed primarily as caused by germs in the environment or in certain religious groups by divine punishment. The risk of illness can be reduced by eating a proper diet, getting enough exercise, and allowing for adequate rest. In the treatment of illness, the body, mind, and spirit are thought of as separate. Whites look to science and technology for the treatment of illness. Often, they communicate directly and tend to express feelings of pain openly. African Americans value family, community, religion, health, and work. Some traditional beliefs attribute illness to divine punishment or to an imbalance among the body, mind, and spirit. Wellness is thought to be achieved through eating good food, living right, and keeping the system cleaned out. Communication may be direct or indirect, and expressions of pain during illness may entail varying degrees of stoicism, which means I'm okay, I'm tough, or vocal outcries to God for assistance. They tend to attempt self-care before consulting a healthcare professional when ill, and also may use folk medicine or consult a root doctor or spiritualist for help. Latinos or Hispanics are family-oriented and value harmony in interpersonal relationships. Their traditional beliefs about cause of illness include magical fright, divine punishment, or an imbalance of cold and hot elements in the body, and environmental hazards. Some believe that illness can be prevented through the use of charms, amulets, or crucifix. Communication is usually indirect, however, expressions of pain are open and direct. Folk health specialists are family members may be consulted along with the formal healthcare system. Asians value self-respect, self-control, respect for elders, family honor, loyalty, and pride. And they emphasize holistic health and harmony between the self and the universe. Asians in the United States may favor herbalists, acupuncturists, and other cultural healers but may use formal healthcare systems when ill. Communication patterns tend to be indirect, and pain is endured with varying degrees of stoicism. American Indians are considerably diverse among tribes and groups. It is important to use caution when generalizing about American Indians. They value family, respect for elders, generosity, and cooperation with others. They attempt to live in harmony with nature and have deep respect for the environment. Communication is usually indirect, great emphasis on nonverbal cues. Pain is usually dealt with stoically, and traditional health practices emphasize total healing, mental and spiritual renewal, and health maintenance. Ceremonial rituals are guided by a medicine man and may be used for treating illnesses before structured medical care is sought. Okay, let's watch a video. Just a moment, let me turn this up.
Necessary process. It can have the undesirable effect of creating artificial boundaries between us.
This is an important consideration when living and working in a cross-cultural environment.
Although we desire to provide care in a culturally sensitive manner, many of us are unsure how to go about it. We may worry that through lack of knowledge, we may inadvertently offend someone or misunderstand what they are trying to communicate. It can be very helpful to have some understanding of the variations which exist among the major world cultures. Let's look at some of the ways in which attitudes and practices differ. Ideas about family life are one big area. In the more traditional cultures throughout the world, the father is often seen as the absolute head of the family. Decisions must have his approval, and it is expected that he be included in all discussions. Those in modern Western cultures with strong feelings about the rights of women and children may find this difficult to handle. They may feel they have an obligation to, as we say, move the family into the 21st century. This is, in fact, a prime example of ethnocentrism, or the belief that one's own culture is superior to others, and that we need to change people to be like us. While over time, people tend to acculturate to the ideas of their adopted homeland, forcibly trying to change them does not take their needs and beliefs into consideration. A Western career woman might be highly offended at the idea that someone should make decisions for her just because he is male and she's female. On the other hand, for a woman from a tribal culture, having decisions made for her by the men or the chief could provide a sense of being protected and cared for.
Some cultures grant full power over others to the head of the household. To a modern Westerner, this arrangement may be interpreted as harassment of family members.
We cannot ignore or condone actual abuse. We do, however, need to view behaviors within the cultural context, and if intervention is necessary, it's best if it's done by someone within the culture. It may simply involve education in alternative forms of family interaction. In the Pacific Island culture, for example, important decisions are made with all family members present. They expect to be included when the physician talks with the patient. They don't see rules of confidentiality as applying to them. They may also expect to provide care for the family member in the hospital, and the women in particular may see their role as remaining at a family member's bedside throughout the hospital stay. While the rights of other patients must also be protected, allowing a family member offered to remain at the bedside and assist with care can increase both the patient's and the family's sense of safety and comfort. Adhering to the patient's wishes regarding who is present for discussion of medical issues will meet the standard of patient confidentiality in a way that honors cultural beliefs, while still adhering to governmental regulations such as those HIPAA. Other family issues concern infant care and child-rearing practices. Birthing traditions, for example, vary widely from culture to culture. In the West, it is now the norm for fathers to be present for deliveries, even C-sections, although this was not true as recently as the 1970s. Some cultural practices require that only women be present for a birth, and this prohibition may extend to the practitioner who presides at the delivery. For most of recorded time, men have been almost universally considered outsiders in the process of birthing. Babies were often born at home with a midwife or a woman who had previously given birth in attendance. For much of the world, this is still the standard. In some cultures, great value is attached to the placenta, with specific ideas and requirements regarding its proper disposal. Breastfeeding is another aspect with strong cultural overtones. Some cultures see it as natural, and the mother freely puts her baby to breast as needed. Others have modesty standards that preclude public breastfeeding. Mothers withdraw, and the baby is nursed hidden.
Okay, let's watch one more video. This is a nurse and how her cultural influences affected her care with the patient.
I would say first to know your elimination plan, which you are struggling to find words in Spanish, then that's a huge indicator that you should probably be using an interpreter to assist with making sure that you're understanding what the patient is telling you and that the patient understands what you would like to relate to him or her. The other thing I would say is that the Latino population is also an extremely heterogeneous population. Just for instance, me being from Belize, we in most Central American countries have a great habit of eating, tortillas and beans. And I remember talking to a patient who happened to be from Uruguay. I didn't know that he was from Uruguay, but was diabetic, and I was talking to him about his diet, and I started saying, try to avoid, eating tortillas, and he got a little offended, so we don't eat tortillas. And then he described what their diet was. So to not have any assumptions at the same time about what each person does within his own home or community. It's always safer to just ask more questions to learn more about the person to better tailor your care.
Okay, now after this presentation, you will have an assessment that you will take. There are 9 questions. Make sure that you read them carefully before answering the questions. You do need 100% to pass this, this training.